I'm Edward Warfield. I'm the publisher of CityBiz, and I'm honored today to interview Kim Snyder, who is the founder and CEO of KlariVis. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Edwin. I'm happy to be here.
Your career included stints at Valley Bank, and you had a consulting company called KBS Results. Can you provide some highlights of your career and the decision to launch KlariVis?
Yeah, absolutely. I always love telling the KlariVis story. So you're exactly right. I started my banking career at a bank, a community bank called Valley Bank in Roanoke, Virginia. And I spent about 10 years there as the chief financial officer. Prior to that, I actually was a chief financial officer for a startup company here locally. So I kind of caught the entrepreneurial bug, if you will, while I was at that startup. Moved into the banking business and just fell in love with banking. We ended up selling that bank in June of 2015, at which time I decided to start a consulting practice, KBS Results, and was very blessed to pick up a couple of very quick clients, long-term clients, which enabled me to hire back some of the executives who had worked with me at the bank to create really what I want to call a boutique consulting practice, right? So what we wanted to do was have a team of bankers who could come in and help banks move projects forward and then get out of the way and let them continue running their bank. I thought in my banking career, it would have been great to have had a team of bankers to choose to help do that from time to time. And so that was really kind of what we tried to create at KBS Results. So over the course of about 4.5 years, we worked with 30 different financial institutions. 60% of them hired us for a second, third, or fourth engagement. So we really kind of became that trusted business advisor for a lot of our clients. We did strategic planning work. We stood up an M&A niche, actually, and helped banks do the heavy lifting on merger integration. We also did process improvement work where we would go in and help a bank identify areas where maybe bottlenecks occurred or manual work was being done that we could streamline and create opportunities to continue to grow the bank without having to add back office capacity. And we also ran finance and accounting for a couple of small banks. During the course of that 4.5 years, the light bulb went off. Every bank we went in was struggling with the same issue, and that was access to data in an efficient manner. So it didn't matter how big the bank was, it didn't matter how sophisticated they were, didn't matter what core system they were on. They all were spending a ton of time exporting information out of all the various systems that you may have in the banking ecosystem, dumping it into Excel and trying to create some magic formula to provide information back to the executives to make decisions on or back to the frontline people to serve their customers. And that was a process that was done all the time, every day. It wasn't something that was automated. And when we realized that was an every community bank problem, not just a small community bank problem, we decided we wanted to go and solve it. And that really is where KlariVis was born. So we built KlariVis, a proof of concept, in our consulting practice, took that back to our consulting clients and said, what do you think? Got a lot of feedback along the way. And at the end of that journey, about a year-long process, the feedback we got is, if you can make that happen, that's going to be a game changer for me. And so with that, I set up a separate company back in February of 2019, hired a tech team to take our proof of concept and turn it into reality. And here you go. That's KlariVis. That is really kind of from the ground up, kind of where it came from and how we got to where we are today.
And so you founded the company in February of 2019. So it sounds like the launch really came out of your consulting practice. Tell us about 2019 and some of the important landmarks and the milestones of that year.
Sure. So that year was really focused on the technology infrastructure build, right? So we're dealing with a bank's most intimate data about their customers. And so I knew that I needed to make sure that security infrastructure was built the right way, which is why I hired an outsourced team. So most of 2019, we actually continued with our consulting practice, and we had this development thing going on in the background with an outsourced partner. In September of 2019, we kind of really flipped the switch. So started flipping the switch in early midsummer, I guess, of 2019 and turned off some of our longer term consulting contracts and really started to switch the team and flip the team into the data analytics company, KBS Analytics.
And so what are some of the key milestones since the launch?
Gosh, we've had lots.
It's only 2 years.
I know. know. It's been a very active 2 years. So some of the things I would point to is the fact that, we launched our product in January of 2020. And then we all know what happened in March of 2020. And we ended 2020 with 9 clients. I mean, there's not very many startup companies who can say that and have survived that tumultuous year. So to me, that's a huge landmark. That's a huge accomplishment. Is it where I wanted to be at the end of 2020 when we started the launch? No. But I'm darn proud that of where we are, and the clients that we have on the system are just phenomenal. We have conquered 5 core processing systems, so that's huge for us. It was a strategic direction that we wanted to make sure that we were able to prove out that we could do this with any core system. It didn't matter, and so we've done that now. That's a huge win for us. We also, I think, we just recently announced a few strategic partnerships. So we have a strategic partnership with First National Bankers Bank out of Louisiana. We also have a strategic partnership now with the Kafafian Group. Those are both huge items for us. We were approved back in January of 2020 to be in the Microsoft Startups Program. So that was a big win. Worked directly with Microsoft along the course of 2020 in helping with our development of our system. And at the end of last year, they came to us and said, we're taking a select group of our huge startup program and we're narrowing the focus. And we want you to be in this next niche, if you will, serving the financial institution space. And so we are now part of the Microsoft Pegasus Startups Program. And so that was a huge accomplishment for us as well.
So can you tell us about some of the key features of your platform?
So what we are doing is solving the data conundrum. Okay, so we have point and click technology. Today, banks get their information from their systems in a linear fashion. So as the CFO of my bank, I used to come in and I would have a report that was emailed to me that was a table of our new deposit accounts, and another report that was emailed to me of our new loan accounts. I'd have a third report that was my GL. So you get the picture, right? That's how bankers are used to seeing their data and seeing their information. With KlariVis, we're feeding that back to our banks in the form of business intelligence. So beautiful graphs, trending information that you can't get without somebody spending a lot of time and energy creating it in-house, and point and click. So if I see a trend I need to dive into, I drill through to it and I can get all the way down to that customer level if I need to do that. That is something that's revolutionary, quite frankly, in the banking space.
And so you recently announced in February a strategic investment from FVC Bancorp. Can you tell us about that investment?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I should have mentioned in the milestones is I raised an initial $2.5 million in 2019 in the early part of 2020 from angel investors. So high net worth individuals who knew me, knew the banking space, and so forth. FVC was our first strategic investor, and it's really a great story because they were one of our very first beta clients. And so I've known the CFO or the president there for quite some time, Trish Farrick. And so I went to her obviously and said, hey, I've got this great tool. I'd love for you guys to be a partner with us. She saw the value immediately. They jumped on board very quickly as a beta partner and really have added a lot of value through the development process. Earlier this year, they came to us and said, hey, your platform has had such a major impact. Would you consider a strategic investment? And of course, I said, well, yeah. What better testament could we have to what we're doing than to have a client come to you and say, I believe in you so much. I want to be your strategic partner, not just a client. And so Trish now sits on our board, and the value add that she's bringing to the table every board meeting is significant, plus just the ongoing relationship that we have with her and her team, as well as David, the CEO there. It's just a phenomenal relationship. I'm super excited about it.
And so was that sort of wrapped around the seed round?
It was.
And so do you have plans for a Series A?
So we do. We do have plans for a Series A. We're in the process now. We have quite a few folks that are interested in what we're doing, and it's really a matter of figuring out the right time to pull that trigger. and so forth. And so that's something that, as the CEO of a software fintech company, somebody told me when I decided to go down this journey that you're always going to be raising money. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And they're like, yes, you are. And they were right. So I probably spend 50% of my time talking to interested investors, people who want to continue, who love what we're doing and want to be part of it. And so it's really a timing issue right now for us to determine when is the right time to really do that Series A funding.
So you mentioned a little earlier about some of your strategic partners, but could you drill in a little deeper in terms of the Kafikan Group and Simple Bank? I don't know if did I mangle the name?
You did. You mangled it, but that's okay. So the Kafafian Group is a group. It's a professional consulting group of former bankers, very similar but much more high profile and much more experienced than what I was doing with my consulting company. They've been doing it forever. So they've worked with about 500 financial institutions over the course of their existence, and really are strategic advisors to the banks that they work with. They also have an outsourced profitability solution that they run for a lot of community banks. And so if a bank wants to learn profitability about their customer, about their branches, about their business lines and so forth, they have built a software solution for that. And so I met Jeff and Rich back last year when we launched our product initially in January of 2020 at the Bank Directors Acquire Be Acquired conference. And we just spent the last year really getting to know each other and really like what they are doing, have a lot of respect. We see a lot of synergies between KlariVis and what they're doing on the profitability. A lot of our clients are asking for a profitability solution. And so what we're going to end up doing is integrating, right, with them so we can offer that profitability tool to KlariVis clients and vice versa. So super excited about that. They also made an investment in us, and we were the first investment that they've made in a company like ours. So super excited to have them as partners. Simply Bank, they were our ninth client. So they truly are a VIP client of ours. So we have a VIP program where we look for those innovative, forward-looking banks to bring into KlariVis to help us continue with the product evolution. And so while they are utilizing our platform, we sought them out for some of the things that they were doing, along with Howard Bank. They're a VIP client. Rosedale Federal Savings and Loan, also a VIP client of ours, just because of the things that they're doing, and they wanted to help us continue to build this product out. And so that's what that partnership means.
And so is the model, is there a setup fee wrapped around the SaaS, or is this?
There is an implementation fee. Of course, there's a lot of work. If you think about it, a bank could have 15 different systems in there, and with customer information that lives on all 15 different systems. And while people like to say they talk to each other, they really don't talk to each other very well. That's why you have all this manual work going on inside of a bank. And so what we do, depending on the number of systems that a bank has that they want to bring into KlariVis, right, that would impact our work effort to create the solution that matches their needs. And so there is a one-time implementation fee and then an annual license fee that's built upon, number of users, number of accounts. We have an enterprise model because that's important to me. I hated per user licenses. As the CFO of my bank, I liked enterprise. I want to, if I see something that I want to buy it, and I want to be able to roll it out to everybody in the bank in order for it to have its maximum impact. But some banks like to roll things out slower, and so we have a tailored pricing model that meets just about everybody's needs.
And is there a case study you want to share with us?
So, our case studies, I think FVC Bank would be the best case study, right? They started as a beta partner. They implemented on the platform. They rolled it out, and now they're an investor. So, again, from a case study perspective, I think they're probably the best one that I can point to. What most of our clients will tell you is our white glove implementation is a case study all into itself. It's unlike anything they've ever experienced. Oftentimes when you're a bank and you go to purchase a piece of technology, the onus is on the banker to implement it. And at KlariVis, we take all of that away and we do it. And we can do that because we're bankers. So we understand the systems, we understand the technology stack that the bank has. We're able to come in with very little input from the bank, very little to-dos on the bank's end, and really bring KlariVis up and running in a 60 to 90-day time frame. Most of our clients would tell you the implementation experience is phenomenal. Because we're so new, right? We launched in January of last year. Our first client went live in March. So we haven't even we're just now getting to a full year to really start to dive into true numbers. But the client that's been on since March, they will tell you they had significant customer acquisition growth last year and deposit growth. And a lot of that they will attribute to KlariVis.
So what is your growth strategy? Recently you've hired some new salespeople. So is it going to be internal growth, or is it going to be a combination of internal growth and acquisitions?
So right now we're focused on organic growth, right? Using the sales team to get out. I did hire 4 seasoned senior sales executives to join our team. Last year, my strategy was all about trade shows. And so our launch was centered around 3 national trade shows, and it went extremely well. We had 180 banks that were interested in KlariVis when we had to shut the world down in March, that had seen us at those trade shows. So as the pandemic continued and lingered on, we made a decision at the end of last year that trade shows probably aren't going to be back, at least not in-person trade shows for a while. And it made sense for us to hire a seasoned team that brought a book of business with them, banks that they're used to talking to. What we've learned in our sales process is that a tool like KlariVis, because we're dealing with intimate data, right? And because we're a new company, the banks that are most likely to buy us, they know us. They have a connection with us in some form or fashion. Again, that's why the Kafafian Group partnership is so important to us. That's why FNBB partnership is so important to us, because they have those connections and they're wrapping themselves around KlariVis. And so that's what our strategy is right now. I'm a big believer in profit. So valuation is important to me, but you have to remember I'm a CPA and I'm a CFO. So turning a profit is extremely important to me. And that's really growing into profitability is what my short-term focus is on.
And so, is there any part of the story that we haven't really told, or you haven't told about KlariVis that you'd like to share with our viewers?
I think the differentiator for KlariVis is that we're bankers. And our tool is truly developed by bankers for bankers. So instead, it was one of the frustrations I had as a bank CFO. Oftentimes I would see a great piece of technology that a very smart technology team had developed, and they were trying to make it fit into the banking industry. And I felt like during the implementation process, me and my team spent a tremendous amount of our effort teaching them about banking. That's not the case with KlariVis. We're bankers. When people see our system, they're like, I can tell you're a banker. You understand how to put the information together. You understand what I'm looking for, what's important to me. Remember, banks have a tremendous amount of data. You don't need it all, right? You got to cut through the noise and bring the high value items to the forefront. And our banking knowledge allows us to do that. And so I think that's our true value differentiator, and something that I would love for your viewers to understand.
And what's the competitive landscape? Is there anyone as focused as you are on creating a fintech solution for existing commercial regional banks?
Yeah, there certainly are some competitors in the space for sure. Some, and all of who've been here longer than we have. So I won't say we're breaking new ground in that respect, Edwin, but what I will tell you is the way we're doing it is different than the way they are. Again, the fact that our solution is built by bankers is a true differentiator from the other solutions that are on the market. Some of the other dashboarding tools that you might see out there are only used by the finance team. Our tool is meant to be enterprise-wide, all the way down, to the frontline facing people who are serving customers. And so we're different in that way. So while there are people in our space, I think we're going to win the day whenever we're up neck to neck against one of those competitors. So I'm excited about it.
So at CityBiz, we work with a number of fintech companies for our company. So what will your solution, will it impact the lending process and decision making?
Yes, it will. We're not a loan origination system, but what we do is give information to the lender about their borrower that they need to have at their fingertips when they're talking to that borrower, when they're talking to the customer. So we're touching the customer experience that way. By instead of the lender having to wait on information or having to go in 5 different systems to understand when is the loan maturing, and what do I need to collect from a financial statement perspective, and what is the rate, and what other relationships do they have with us, right? All of that lives in KlariVis. So it's one-stop shop, if you will, for information. So remember, we're trying to position ourselves to be in the center of the banking ecosystem. So they have one place to go for both strategic decisions as well as tactical decisions on helping provide that contextual intelligence that you need to know about your banker, about your customer, in order to serve them the way that they expect to be served.
So this is probably a pre-COVID question, but what are the advantages and disadvantages of having your company based in Roanoke?
I don't really think I think a company can be based anywhere, right? So advantages from a technology company, we have Virginia Tech right up the road from us, and they pump out a ton of just brilliant software engineers. We actually, one of the things I'm super proud of is we have just recently, we have an internship program through a company that works directly with both Virginia Tech and Radford University. So we have anywhere at any time from 4 to 6 interns that are working with us on KlariVis, and then we have a manager that kind of manages that. So, if I weren't located in Roanoke, that might be a little bit harder to pull off than it is with that group today. So super excited about that. Post-COVID, I am an in the office kind of a person. So I will say that eventually we will have an office space that everybody will come into on some regularity, because I really believe you cannot replicate those popping in your office and sitting down and having a discussion when you're building something like we're building, and the innovation and the creativity. But I've changed my perspective a bit, and I do believe now post-COVID that you don't have to be in the office every day to make that happen. And so we do have some people on our tech team that are not local. They're in other states. So and it's working quite fine.
Well, Kim, I want to thank you for your time, and it's exciting to hear your journey, and I look forward to hearing your journey as it continues in the subsequent years.
Thank you, Edwin. I greatly enjoyed our conversation, and likewise look forward to continuing the discussion.